Welcome back, everybody. I'm here with Bobby Johnson. He's the VP of Operations at Kavana Health. They're out of Oklahoma City, and I do a lot of work with them. They're a great organization out there. And thanks for joining us, Bobby. I appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Matt. Nice to talk to you this morning.
Oh, you too, man. Bobby is the VP of Operations at a mega manufacturing operation. So, Bobby, if you could tell us a little bit about your background and what got you into the CBD industry, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, great. I spent 12 years in the McDonald's supply chain in a number of different roles, but gained a ton of exposure to all the different manufacturing practices that are out there, including HACCP, hazard analysis, and critical control points, which is a big part of the food safety industry. And I spent 12 years cutting my teeth, if you will, in that industry, learning all about quality control, quality assurance, inventory control. Worked for two different companies across two different states that were part of the McDonald's supply chain.
Man, that must have been an insane amount of inventory and quality.
Oh yeah, millions and millions of pounds. The first company I was with, we did beef patties for the surrounding 7-state region. We went through about 2.5 million pounds of product a week.
Oh my God.
It was crazy.
And
very good exposure.
Yeah, and there's probably little room for error with that since it's beef, and so the quality has to be at that certain point. And McDonald's obviously is known for consistency, so it has to be the same every time, and so that has to be a challenge to make all that happen.
Absolutely, and that's where things like CGMP that we'll be discussing here shortly come into play, right? And then from there, I went on to spend the next 15 years as Vice President of Distribution for a national electronics and peripherals distributor. Had responsibility for multiple facilities across 2 different states. I think at one time we were up to about 4 different distribution facilities with about 20,000 SKUs. So again, inventory control.
Yeah. Wow.
Plays very big. Growing by the week sometimes.
Wow, that's insane, man. 20,000 SKUs.
And then, in fact, that's kind of how I came to be in this industry. Is the director of human resources that I worked with at that employer is now our chief operating officer, Nancy McCumber. So we established a working relationship then, and she recruited me here because she understood my background and what was needed for this facility to become CGMP certified. So here we are.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so that's how you got into the Kavana company, and that makes sense. Like when I first met you, I was like, man, this guy looks like he knows what he's talking about. And then you started talking. I was like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
I appreciate that. My wife might disagree, but
that's funny. I'm sure that's why Nancy brought you on board. And it's a very impressive facility. I've been to a bunch of different manufacturers in CBD industry and supplement industry. And it's definitely the cleanest facility that I've ever been to by far.
That's a recurring theme. We're very proud of what we've done here. And to the person, every single person that steps foot in this facility, that's one of the things they mention is this is probably, from an industry perspective, the cleanest facility they've seen in regards to what we do.
It's spotless, man. And even right when I walked, right when I walked in the first time, you get hit with this waft of the smell, even everything, all the details are just like, even the smell was like, man, it smells amazing, just everything about it. So I could tell you guys really pay attention to all the details, which is important because the little details add up, and that's what makes a great company, I think.
Absolutely. Those little ones will get you.
Yeah, I've been to some labs and manufacturers out there, and you just see these little things, and you start looking around when you're vetting somebody, and you're like, I don't know, man. You start to notice things, and so yeah, it's definitely impressive what you guys have done. And we were talking about the CGMP certification. I know you guys have CGMP certification, and so like, what does it take to get that certification, and what's the benefit of having that?
So for those who are watching who don't know, it's current good manufacturing practice. That's what CGMP stands for. And it's a set of industry standards that when used correctly can help ensure both the quality and safety of your product. Industry's been around for a long time. We've had a long time to develop best practices, if you will,
Yeah.
that are widely understood amongst the industry. And so one of the first steps to becoming CGMP certified is to develop what are called standard operating procedures. It's documenting how you do what you do, right? And often you'll hear those referred to as SOPs.
Yeah.
They define what you do, how you do it, and then that helps ensure consistency. We were talking about consistency with the McDonald's material. That helps ensure your consistency and safety from batch to batch. Now, standard operating procedures are one thing, right? So now that you've defined how we do what we do, you have other things that are a part of CGMP certification, which are often called peripheral programs. And those are things like pest control, personal hygiene. Everybody that comes into this facility has to read and sign off on a document and ask them questions like, where have you been? Have you been sick? Are you running a fever? Do you feel nauseous? We make them read all of our documents and things like that. Lot tracking and traceability is a big part of a CGMP certification program. When that third-party auditor comes in and sits down with you at a table, you have to be able within a 2-hour period to identify and recall everything you've shipped from a certain batch or lot.
Wow.
During that 2-hour window. So you've got to have a ton of documentation in regards to what you produced, when you produced it, what lot and batch numbers were assigned to it, and where you shipped it, so that it can all come back in the event of a recall.
It's funny. I kind of laugh sometimes. I talk to manufacturers and they're like, "Oh, we're not CGMP certified, but we practice those standards." And I'm like, "I don't know. I bet you don't. I bet you don't practice all those details."
It's one thing to claim it, and it's another thing to have that physical certificate with your unique identifier on it, saying that a third-party auditor has been out here. They have confirmed that you're in compliance with all the guidelines and all the programs that have to be in place. That's one of the things. I'm glad you mentioned that, because in order for a CGMP certification to be legitimate, that certification has to come from a third-party auditor.
Gotcha.
You can't say I'm CGMP certified without a company coming in, doing a full-blown all-day audit, looking at all your paperwork, all your tracking, all your production records, and then they assign you a score. And as long as you score high enough, you then are issued your certificate. So very, very critical part of what we do in this industry.
Yeah, I agree. I think as we keep going into the future, the industry, it's going to be a necessity for a manufacturer to have that certification. And even right now, if I was launching a CBD brand, I wouldn't buy my products from a company that wasn't CGMP certified personally. And then you guys are also kosher certified too, which is another notch on the belt. And so that's another thing. It's some people that's important too as well. And so that's another aspect. And I know there's other certifications too out there that are seeming like, what is ISO? Do you know that one? I've been hearing that.
Yeah, it's a set of international standards, and it can be a part of a lot of different industries, ISO certification. But from our perspective, ISO certification would apply more to like the laboratory
That's what
type
I
settings,
thought.
right? So
Yeah.
for instance, all the laboratories that we use right now have to be ISO 17025 accredited, and
Gotcha.
it's very much like what we do from a CGMP perspective, but from a laboratory perspective. So ISO standards are much more stringent and exact. When you're in medical or pharmaceutical or anything like that, the steps you have to take to ensure safety and integrity and all of that. So.
Gotcha. So I get that. And so there's obviously a lot of changes happening with the industry, and right now we're going through the coronavirus thing, so everything's kind of on hold. I think with the FDA probably isn't thinking about regulations. Maybe they are, I don't know. But what do you think, like in the next 3 to 5 years, what is the future going to look like as far as like all the regulations and regards to manufacturing and things of that nature?
We've heard the term, and I'm sure you've probably used it as well. The industry, we've heard the term "wild, wild west" a lot, right? So as this industry matures, and both the federal, state, and local governments have time to kind of react to what's going on, all this was kind of ignited by the passing of the 2018 Farm Bill, which allowed the growing of industrial hemp. And as you're aware with the FDA, everybody's just kind of waiting on regulations, right? What's the federal government going to do with it? From my perspective, regulatory oversight is coming, and it's coming for everyone.
Yep.
So in the very near future, again, depending upon what happens with the COVID-19 and how long this thing plays out, but things like CGMP certification, I can see that fast becoming a part of the regulatory framework required for people to produce and sell in this industry.
Do you know, like in the supplement world, do they require CGMP for, like, say I wanted to launch a vitamin C supplement, do those manufacturers have to be CGMP certified, or what is the rules with that? I think they do, right? Because they're following the dietary supplement and DSHEA laws and things like that.
That's correct. Yeah, if you're in the supplement business or anything like that, then you are required to be CGMP certified and to supply to those folks as well. So if we wanted to sell our product to anyone who does dietary supplements or anything of that nature, if they're CGMP certified, they should also be buying from a CGMP certified supplier.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's what I've been saying for the last year or two, that I really hope the FDA treats CBD like just a dietary supplement, and it looks like that's what's going to happen. Do you think that it's going to be along the similar guidelines as dietary supplements?
I do, and I'm kind of with you. I hope that's where this is going. I think it'll be good for all involved.
Yeah, it's just because otherwise, I mean, then if they make it pharmaceutical or something, then it's like, oh man, you're gonna have to raise so much money to get into that ball game.
It's a totally different ball game then.
Yeah, so this makes it to where I think mom and pops can still get into the industry, and I love that. Those are the main people that I love helping, the mom and pop companies that really have a mission of making a quality product. And I love connecting with people like you because I can trust you guys. And that's where selfishly, when I get people calling me like, Matt, who should I go to make my products? I send them to you guys because I know that it's going to be a quality product. And everybody we've sent your products to, they say it's the best that they've tried. And so I'm really excited to be working with you guys myself.
Yeah, this as well. And the big thing about CGMP certification, you mentioned the cost, to cost prohibitive nature of some businesses, is the great thing about CGMP certification is it's not cost that's going to get you right. It's time and effort. It just takes a lot of time and effort. And if you're willing to put that time and effort in, CGMP certification is attainable for just about anyone, as long as you have a good understanding of what's required, and there's consultants out there that'll come in and help you do it. But anyone can do it as long as you put in that time and effort.
Do you do any consulting in that area, or are you just too busy running Kavana over there?
Right now, I'm too busy running Kavana, but it's not a bad idea. Thank you.
Gotcha. Yeah, let me know when you're ready. I probably can send you some people that. But yeah, so I think, like you said, it's like you just mentioned, it's not prohibitive expensive wise. It's just you have to have your ducks in a row and the paperwork in order with your SOPs and all that. And it's not hard. It's just I did the SOPs for a dispensary I used to run, and my partner, my lady, helped me, and it was it's not hard. It's just a lot of work because you have to write down every little detail and every step that runs the company. Basically, is how we did it.
Yep.
It was okay, patient walks in to the check-in window, show patient, get patient's card, check card, every little detail. And that's what you have to be able to do. And it's not hard. It's just sitting down to do it.
It helps if you're a little OCD.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Thank God for my lady who's my partner, because I'm more loosey-goosey and we'll get to the details,
Yeah.
So she's military. She's former military, so
she's perfect then. Yeah.
So it was good to have her helping me with the SOPs for the dispensary.
Yeah.
And so, for a manufacturing company, what are some of the best qualities that would make up a top-notch manufacturing company for CBD, for the people that are looking out there at different manufacturing companies and they're looking to start their CBD brand or supplement brand? What are some of the qualities that they should be looking for that would make up a high quality manufacturer?
Great, good question. One of the first and foremost things that we've been discussing is, are they CGMP certified, right?
Yeah.
Do they have a physical certificate with a unique certificate number that proves that they've been audited by a third-party auditor who's come in and looked at everything and looked it over and says, yep, everything looks great? Are they licensed from their local or state Department of Health? Here at our facility, we are. The State Department of Health has been in here. Licensing requirements vary from city to city and state to state, but for Oklahoma, we have all of the licensing that's required, both the state and local level. So do they have all the licensing that they should have? Lot tracking and traceability is a big one. It's okay to ask folks questions. If I buy this from you and something gets recalled, do you have the ability and record keeping to contact me so that I can reach out to my customers who might be impacted
Wow. And I bet
by
you
this?
very few manufacturers can say they, in the CBD world, I bet you there's probably 10 to 20% that can say they do that.
Yeah, I bet you're probably spot on with that. Certificates of analysis, right? That's another big thing that folks want to see. For everything that we sell and for everything that you're looking at buying, there should be certificates of analysis that exist, that you've sent that off to an independent third-party laboratory. So again, make sure that the testing is done outside of each facility and it's done by an independent third-party lab that's not affiliated with that particular facility. But we'll look for things like residual pesticides, residual solvents. What's the potency of the material that we produced? We'll look for the presence of microbial contamination and pathogens and stuff like that. So it's called a full panel. And for everything that we sell, every product that ships out of this facility, we have full panel results available for everything that we ship you. That's a very, very big part of what goes on here.
I love that. And I think that should be a necessity in the future going forward, because I think, again, very few companies, I think, are doing a full panel test. I think a lot of them are just doing the, potency and maybe terpenes or maybe a few other things, but they're not doing everything, which I think should be a necessity at this point.
Yeah. So I think we just talked about 4 or 5 different things there. In a nutshell, those are the things that I would really, really look for if I'm looking to partner with or buy from someone in this industry right now.
Gotcha. And I'll put one in there too. If you talk to a manufacturer and you say, "Can I come see the facility?" and they tell you no, then you should run away.
Red flag, big red flag.
I was
And
talking.
we welcome anyone.
Yeah, exactly. You could come see I've been there a few times and I've seen guests coming in there and they make you put on gear and cover up and it's legit and the way it should be. And it's funny, I was talking to somebody the other day and they were like, I met with they were trying to meet with a manufacturer and the person wanted to meet them at a restaurant and they were like, oh, they could tell they were like a broker at that point or something, not an owner. So you like, that's number one. If they won't let you see the facility, then that's an issue.
Good point.
And so if the people that are watching, if you're looking to create a CBD brand, I highly recommend Kavana. They really have great products and they have a different variety of products too, probably about 30 different SKUs at this point, right?
Yep, we're getting close.
Nice. And so you can reach out to me in the CBD Business Success Group where we're going to be posting this, and I'll connect you with Bobby and his team to talk about pricing and options for different types of products. So I highly recommend reaching out and we can connect you to them. And do you have anything any pearls of wisdom you want to leave us with, Bobby, before we take off?
Hey, everybody stay safe out there right now. I know it's a brave new world for a lot of people. So I hope everyone health and happiness, and thanks for taking the time to watch. Matt, thank you for having me this morning.
Thank you too, Bobby. And I echo what you just said and just hope everybody's doing well out there, and feel free to reach out to us for anything that you need. We're here to help you guys, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.